morning, everybody. This is a update to my Hungry Harvest review. I've already done a review, and I at that time I had bought a mini harvest, and I had a few worries about this place. If to recap, Hungry Harvest is a place you might see them advertised on Facebook, and what they do is that there's a lot of produce that's produced that is rejected by grocery stores because maybe they have too many marks, they're too small, or sometimes they're too big. And then sometimes there's just an overabundance. They produce too much of them. So a lot of this stuff gets thrown out, and it's and this place says, here we have world hunger and all that, and this perfectly good food gets thrown out. So what this place does is, at a discount price, it sells food to people. And I had some little worries about that. I had some worries because sometimes the size of an item, can affect its taste. Or if it's got markings, it can affect its taste too. It depends on what the markings are caused by. So last week when we got our produce, I was a little concerned about the cucumbers, which had a lot of yellow on them, and we had an avocado that had a lot of marks on them. But I was extremely pleased with all the produce. The cucumbers were some of the best I've ever had. Green pepper was delicious, and I'm not a big fan of green peppers. And the avocado, which had marks kind of like these, they were only on the skin. They didn't go down into the avocado. Actually, what was funny is that a lot of the produce was even better than what I often get from Amazon or the grocery store. So encouraged by this, I upgraded my subscription from mini harvest to full harvest, which means I get a little bit more. I get an extra group of fruits, and I get some extra veggies. And I also did some add-on items, which, you add things on it that's not normally part of your bundle. I think this is a great service, and I really enjoy it. There are possibly some things that it may not be for everybody. One is that they have a variety of things, that they can offer at any certain times. But the thing is that each week they have a certain amount of things, like when you want to go to the grocery store, maybe when you look at your recipes, you say, I want an eggplant this week. And most of the time, if you go, unless it's not not in season or something, most of the time you can go to the Publix or Amazon and order an eggplant. It doesn't work with this at this place. You don't have that type of freedom. This place, they offer a certain amount of things, and you do have the option to say you don't want it, or you can modify the amounts and all that. But there's only a certain amount of things they're offering that particular week. You can also change how many. Like, I get produce every other week, mainly because the mini harvest, which was the one below this type of harvest, offered me so much food that it actually lasted me 2 weeks. Because, I'm just cooking for me and my mom. But, there's there's a limited amount of options. You can choose what of the quantities, and, you want of something of what they offer, but, you're basing your meals on what they're offering that week. Like, this week they were offering me initially russet potatoes. Well, I already have russet potatoes and I didn't want any more. So they had sweet potatoes too, so I said, okay, don't give me russet potatoes, give me sweet potatoes instead. So I was able to do that. So you can't, it's not like you can check a recipe book and check a bunch of recipes you want to without looking at them and say, oh, I want this and this and this, and I want an eggplant and all that, because you have to kind of see what they're giving you. With Hungry Harvest, you kind of have to see what they're giving you and then build your recipes up around this. Now, I personally enjoy it. It's kind of exciting. It causes me to try new dishes, to cook in new ways that, I don't normally cook. I've been trying more exotic types of fruits I never would have chosen. This is an Asian pear. And I never, I'm an apples, bananas, and oranges type of girl, so I would have never bought a pear like that. So I've been enjoying it, but not everybody would probably maybe not be that adaptable. So it may not be for everybody, but if you're an adaptable cook and with some things, I'm not sure sometimes with cheaper items, like that was what I found. Like I could get cucumbers and avocados pretty cheaply at my, from Publix or Amazon. So if you're basing it totally on that, you might either pay the same or maybe just a few dollars more by going to this place. However, even with the cheaper items, you really save on things that are exotic, like the Asian pears, because they can be pretty expensive at the store. But I found that actually, even with cheaper items, I may prefer this place, because one thing I've always hated about the grocery stores is that they have to clean their items. And this place, like the last time they delivered lettuce, it actually had some dirt on it. But so it is a good idea to wash the produce. But what I hate about the grocery stores is that they drown the stuff in cleaning. They clean it and they practically drown it in water, and then they put it in plastic bags and it starts to rot. So I find that a lot of times my fresh stuff, even if I take it out of its packaging, it'll survive a little longer if I take it out of its packaging and put it in my specialty net bags and all that. But it gets so waterlogged that a lot of times I find that it only lasts me 5 days tops, but usually 3. And the Hungry Harvest produce lasted me almost 2 weeks because they don't waterlog it. Like this lettuce is nice and dry. One other problem I didn't think of until this week, because last week, most of the produce I had, it was overly large, which might have been why it was rejected. This week, I was always thinking, I never know what to do with celery, because I always, celery is kind of like what I considered more like a food condiment. And, aside from having it and spreading peanut butter on it or making celery soup, what do you do with celery? But I finally found a recipe that sounded intriguing to try. But this is actually I've never seen this. This is actually a very minimal amount of stalks. I mean, I kind of like it because, what do you do with celery? But, and the zucchini, I have never seen zucchini this small. And what really surprised me was the butternut squash. Never seen one this small. Now, I'm not a very big fan of butternut squash, so in some ways I'm just as well pleased. But the thing is if you're cooking for a family, this can, they're offering you a butternut squash, but you don't know what size it is, so it can sometimes mess you up with your recipes if you're not adaptive. it can maybe mess you up with your recipes because you may not have enough. With me, it's not, you have to be an adaptive cook, and if you're an adaptive cook, this actually will work out for you. Anyway, this is my full harvest. The add-ons were these eggs, and they're beautiful looking. Some limes, lemons, got some blackberries. That's all the add-on items. Full harvest, I got 2 things of lettuce because I had really enjoyed their lettuce. 4 zucchini, thing of celery, kiwis, 4 kiwis, 3 avocados, some snow peas, very small butternut squash, 2 yellow onions, 6 sweet potatoes, 3 Asian pears, and a pineapple. And this all together cost me about $40. That included the shipping fee. If this stuff lasts me as long as it did the other harvested, I'm thinking of upgrading to the Super Harvest, which is $35. So we'll see. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this review, and stay tuned for more videos.